Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament, and we're reading Matthew's Gospel, and we're up to beginning of chapter 14, the very sad death of John the Baptist. This pericope is also, of course, recorded in Mark and also in Luke's Gospel. So, enikene to Cairo, kusan Heroidas hotetraakos kes ten akoen Jesu kai epen tois paisiau tu hutos estin Ioannes ho baptistes autos egethe apoton necron kai dia tuto hoi dunames en ergusin en autoi. At that time, at that season literally, so around about that time, Herod the Tetrarch, heard the akoin, the report, literally of Jesus, so it's objective genitive here, the report about Jesus. And he said to his paisin, now pais can have a range of meanings. Here it's probably just to his retainers, to his servants perhaps. So he said to his servants, Hutos estin, this is John the Baptist. He was raised, so we would say in English he has been raised, it's aorist passive here from egero, apoton necron from the dead, kai dia tuto, and accounted this, the mighty works, en ergusin, en auto, are operating in him. This is from en plus that erg root. So mighty works are operating in him. Presumably the idea being that having been raised from the dead, he had some kind of special magic powers that enabled him to do these things. Hoga Heroides krateses ton Ioanen edes en auton, in brackets, kai en fulike apetheto dia Herodiada ten gunaika Philippu tu adelphu autu. For Herod, kratio is to get hold of, often has the sense of to arrest, lay hands on. So here probably having arrested John, he bound him, and the auton's been perhaps added by a later scribe, he bound him in the prison, apetheto, this goes with the, he bound him and he placed him in the prison, and this is from apotithemi, he put him away. We often say to have someone put away, to put in jail, it's the same idea. So he put him in the prison on account of Herodian, the wife of Philip, his brother. Elegenga ho Ioannes auto, uk exestin soi ekain autain. For John used to say to him, and this is what he said, it is not lawful for you, ekain, to have her, that is to have her as your wife. Kai thelone, and wishing out on apokteno to kill. So although the kai here is probably almost although with the participle, so although he wished to kill him, although wishing to put him to death, ephobethe ton oklon, he feared the crowd. Hoti hos prophetein auton erkon, because they held him as a prophet. They regarded him as a prophet. Genesiois de genomenois tu Heroide, orchesato hethugetes Herodiados, en to meso kai erisen to Heroide, hothen meth hoku, homologesen aute dunai, ho ian I te setai. Now we get here a genitive with a participle. The ta genesia is the public holidays. So it's along with the public holiday, perhaps celebrations of Herod, perhaps at the time of the public holidays of Herod for his birthday holidays. Interestingly, we don't get too many references to people's birthdays in antiquity. There is a reference to a birthday in the Epistle of James, but you don't get much mention of birthdays amongst the Greeks, but here we do. So it's his birthday celebrations. Hethugete, the daughter of Herodian, Orkesato, this is from oikamai, to dance. So she danced en to meso, in the middle, kai aresen, this is from aresko, to please, and she was pleasing to Herod. Hothen met orku homologesen auto, as a result of, so from which, it's the hot plus the old then ending, so as a result of which, or from which, with an oath, he agreed, homologio, to give to her hot e'an. Now the e'an is for an here, it's like hot an, whatever thing she might ask, subjunctive. She pro bibasthesa hypotes metrosa tes dos moephesin hodi epipinaki ten kephalen Ioannu tu baptistu. And she, this is from pro bibasdo, it's sort of being pushed forward, being egged on or urged on or pushed forward by her mother. She here we are, she says, this is historic present, this is from Phemi, she says, dos moi, give to me, hodi, here, epi pinaki, on a pinax, this is a plate or a platter, so give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist. Kai lupethes ho basilius dia tus orcus kai tus sun anakai menus ekeliusen dothenai. And the king, having become, or having grieved, this is from lupio, to grieve, so the king regretted really, or having become grieved, on account of the oaths, because he'd sworn oaths to her, and on account of those who were reclining with him. So he didn't want to embarrass himself in front of those that were reclining with him. Ekeliusen, he bid, understand, the head, dothenai, aorist infinitive, to be brought, to be given. So he bid that, understand, the head to be given. Kai pempsas, and having sent apokephalisen ton Ioannan ente phulike, and having sent, he beheaded, well he didn't do it but his servants did, he removed the head of, he beheaded John in the prison. Kai ainekthe he kephale autup epipinaki kai edothe to kerasio. This is the aorist passive from Pharaoh. The aorist is einenkon and the aorist passive is einenkthein. So his head was brought from Pharaoh, epipinax, on the platter, and aorist passive from Didomi, it was given to the young girl. This is a neuter form, kairasion, connected with Korah, a girl, so this is the sort of diminutive form koration, and it's neuter, of course. Diminutives are always neuter in Greek, as often happens in other languages as well. For example, in German you get das Mädchen, the young girl. It's grammatically neuter because it's a diminutive. Kai einenken te matri autes. Line it here. Einenken te matri autes, and she carried it to her mother. And einenken from Pharaoh again. Kai proselthontes hoimathetai autou, and his disciples having come, Aaron from Iro, they lifted up, or perhaps they took away here. Iro can have a slight range of meanings, so they lifted up, they took away toptoma. This is literally, it's the stump, it's the thing which falls, it's connected with verb falling. So it's the body, it's what's left after they chop the head off. Kai ethapsen auton, and they buried it. And having come, they reported to Jesus. They brought the message of what had happened to Jesus. Next little pericope is again mentioned in Mark, Luke and John. This is the feeding of the 5,000, taken by some scholars as being symbolic rather than necessarily literal. Akousas de Iesus anachoresen ekathen en ploio es eremon topon katidian. So Jesus, having heard, he withdrew from there, en ploio, in a boat, into a desolate place. Eremos is a desert, but can be used adjectively in the sense of deserted, so into or desolate, so into a desert place, kat idian, by himself. Well, remember, he was related to John, so he would have wanted time to grieve, and also he may have been rather nervous, having seen what happened to John, and therefore he withdraws. Kai accusantes hoi okloi, and the crowd having heard, e koluthesen auto, pedze apotern polion. They followed him pedze on foot. This is an old sort of locative here, or dative here, or perhaps by on foot. Apotern polion, from the cities. Kai exelthone aiden pollen oklon, and having gone he saw a great crowd. Kai esplanknisthe epautois, and he felt compassion, which literally he was moved in his bowels over them, so he felt compassion for them. And etherapeusen tus arostus auton, and he healed those of them that were sick. This is another interesting verb. It's an alpha privative, and the root here is from ronumi, to be strong, and as we've seen in other words for sick often mean those that are without strength. So asthenes is ill, which simply again means without strength. This is just another synonym for this with the alpha privative and this ronumi root, to be strong. So those who were unwell. Opsias de genomenes proselthen auto hoimathetai legontes. We have to understand hemeras here. It being late in the day, understood, his disciples came to him, saying, Eremos est in hotopos, the place is desolate, kai he ora ede parelthin, and the hour now has passed on. In other words, it's getting late. Apolluson, aorist imperative here from apolluo, dismiss the crowds, hina, in order that, going into the villages, agorasosin, subjunctive, they might buy barometer, food, hiautois, for themselves. Hode Jesus epen autois, and Jesus said to them, U creon ecus in apelthane, they do not have need to depart. Doti autois humes phagain. You, emphatic here, you, imperative from Didomi, you give to them, understand something, phagain, to eat. Hoi delegus in auto, and they said to him, Uk ekomen hodi e me pentiatus kai duo ikthuas. We do not have, understand anything here, ame except 5 artus, 5 loaves, which are 5 breads or 5 loaves of bread, kai duo ikthuas, and 2 fish. This is from ikthus, accusative plural, third declension. And he said, Ferete moi hodi autus. Bring them here, moi, to me. Kai kelusas tus oklus, ana kleithenai epi tu kortu, labon tus pentiatus kai tus dua ikthuas, anablepsas eston uronon euligesen kai klasas edo kentois mathetois tus artus, hoide mathetai tois oklois. And having having given orders for the crowds, anaklethenai, to be made to sit down, from anaklino, it's an aorist passive here. So to sit down, or to be made to sit down, epi tu kortu, upon the grass, having taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, anablepsas, from anablepo, having looked into the heaven, he blessed, and klasas, and having broken. This is from the verb klao. The alpha doesn't lengthen in the various form and tenses and things, but it's from a verb klao. We get our word cataclysm from this. Klao is to break, but in the New Testament, klao is only ever used of breaking bread. That has a wider meaning in classical Greek, of breaking something. So, having broken the bread, that is understood, he gave it to he gave the bread to the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples to the crowds. Kai ephagon pantes, kai ekotasthesan, they all of them ate, and they were satisfied, from kortasdo. Aaron, from Iro again, they took up the perisuon, the excess, that which is left over. Perisuo, the verb, means to abound. Perisuon often just means the excess of the klasmaton, of the broken pieces. So that's what's left over. The kla here is from the same root as that verb kla we saw above, of klasas. So it's the bits broken off, the residue. Interestingly, in modern Greek, klasmata is the word for a fraction in mathematics. So they took up the excess of the fragments. 12 kophinos is a wicker basket, 12 baskets full. Hoide esthiontes, those eating were men. Hosei is used with a number here, meaning approximately. It's literally as if, so were approximately 5,000. Choris, apart from the women and the children. And that's the first section of chapter 14.